The long wait for Euro 2020 is finally over. In the build-up to the big kickoff, we are doing something special. We have scoured the Twitterverse to find a representative from each of the 24 nations competing in this summer's European Championships. We will be recording a preview with each representative who will be sharing views on their nation's hopes and expectations throughout the tournament, and most importantly, the fantasy assets we should be looking out for. Welcome to Euro 2020 Happy Hour. Hello and welcome to our Euro 2020 preview series with myself, Sham, otherwise known as FPL 2 Guys 1 Cup on Twitter.
And myself, Rob, otherwise known as FPL Panda.
Rob, we've got another guest tonight, and they are representing a country that were finalists in the World Cup just 3 years ago, and that is Croatia. And Hrvoje, welcome.
Thank you, guys. Hello everybody.
Good evening.
How are you doing?
Great, you guys. I hope you're doing fine. I mean, thank you for inviting me here, and I'm looking forward to having a nice podcast with you.
Nice. Okay, so Hrvoje, tell us a bit about yourself, how you pronounce your name, because I'm sure I've absolutely butchered it. That's an English saying, by the way, which means ruined it, basically. To tell me about what football team you support, where you live, and a bit about FPL if you play FPL.
Yeah, well, my name is Hrvoje, and don't worry, I mean, my name has been butchered in many countries all over the world because of my job. I travel a bit more, so yeah, I mean, don't sweat about it. I'm 28, I live in Zagreb, Croatia, and I've been a football fan since I was like 5-6 years of age. I mean, it's a classic thing, I guess, amongst most of the sports enthusiasts. And also, yeah, I've been playing FPL for only last 2 seasons, so I'm fairly new in it. And yeah, I'm looking forward to Euro Fantasy because I also play the UCL game, so it's going to be very exciting.
Nice. What football team do you support?
I support Dinamo Zagreb. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have an English side?
No, not really.
No.
I mean, yeah. I don't know. I just love watching Premier League. I just love the competition. I love the intensity, the physicality, and everything. I mean,
nice.
It's the best league in the world.
Enjoy it as a neutral. It must be quite nice. And not have any bias towards your own. Like some people would have a bias towards their own team or towards other people's teams. And I think when I first started playing fantasy football, I never picked Liverpool players because I never picked Liverpool players, and that would have been horrible for me the last few years. So yeah, once I took it seriously, you start to.
There was one champion of FPL that didn't pick Liverpool players, but because he was an Everton fan. But
yeah.
Right.
Anyway,
let's talk about Croatia. So talk to me about the Croatian side, how you did in qualification.
Well, our qualification campaign was, I guess, pretty solid. Same as usual. I mean, I always see the group and I think, okay, we're gonna dominate this and win like all of the points, and then we show up pretty, I don't know, either tired or relaxed, and we drop some points here and there, and then in the end of the campaign we have to win all of the 3 remaining matches to to qualify as number 1 or even number 2 sometimes. Not many people don't know that Croatia was, almost didn't qualify for Russia 2018. We were in a pretty bad situation.
Oh, I didn't even know that. Oh.
Because we have a tendency of sacking coaches right at the end of the qualifying campaign, and then we drew to Finland 2017 at home, and then we were in a situation when we had to beat Ukraine away to even qualify as the number 2 and go to the playoffs.
Wow.
And we sacked our coach after Finland, and Dalic was appointed like 3 or 4 days before that game. And in the first half, we were pretty bad, and we could have conceded. And then somehow Kramaric scored a brace in the second half, and we drew Greece in the final playoffs, and the rest is history.
You did well to be finalists in the end, then.
Yeah.
We won't mention the semi-final.
No.
Yeah, I mean,
that's all we'll talk
actually,
about.
I watched that game in London. Yeah.
Oh, really?
So I was in a pub as like the only fan of Croatia.
Oh my God. It must have been so hard. Could you celebrate? Did you celebrate?
Yeah, I just jumped up when we scored the second goal, and then I felt so awkward. And then somebody that was next to me said, "Go ahead, celebrate." Like I was like, "Okay, yay!" But it was not the same as it would have been if I was in Zagreb or I mean,
of course,
the homecoming was brilliant. Like 550,000 people on the streets of Zagreb that has 700,000 people.
Wow!
Scenes were amazing.
So you guys you topped your group for the qualification, but obviously the qualification was quite some time ago. How have you guys done recently? Because there's obviously been the Nations League, and then there's been the World Cup qualifications. Are you guys coming into the Euros with good form or not?
Well, the Nations League, I think Dalic made a mistake at the beginning of this competition when it was introduced, because he kind of was underestimating this competition and making it look like it were glorified friendly matches. And that's why in the beginning we had a lot of problems. I think we lost like 6-0 to Spain or something like that at the beginning. And in this edition we drew France and Portugal, which were two probably the worst matchups that we can get from top tier teams, because historically we didn't fare well against them. I mean, we are unable to match the physicality and intensity that these teams provide and show on the pitch. So
how have you done in the recent World Cup qualifications?
Well, yeah, in the World Cup qualifications we played 3 games. We lost to Slovenia away, and we beat Malta and Cyprus at home. I really don't think we can take anything out of these matches, because I think we are quite unpredictable in terms of our prospects in the Euro, because most of the times in qualifying we don't take some games seriously, and we don't show up with the same energy that normally we can show on a big tournament when the motivation is at the highest. So, I mean, we played these 3 games, 2 wins, 1 loss, nothing special, I would say.
So you can't really tell form on those games because there weren't really kind of, world-class sides.
Yeah, and I mean, I really don't know what to say, because, yeah, but I think the Slovenia game was one of these days when nothing comes your way. We had a couple of chances early on, we didn't convert them. Later on, when they scored, they started closing out the game, and usually when the teams sit back against us, we struggle to find a way to score.
Okay, so let's talk about the main players for Croatia then. So I guess not necessarily fantasy related, but I guess football related. Who are the main players that make that Croatian team tick? Who, if they perform, you guys will have a good tournament, and if they don't perform, that's where you're going to struggle.
I think, I mean, by a mile on the first place is Luca Modric, because I mean, I think if he gets injured, that drastically decreases our chances of making any kind of success on this tournament. He's been vital to our team for more than 12, 13 years, 14, whatever. And he's just, he's one of the best midfielders in the last 20 years. So I think even for Real Madrid, it will be difficult to replace him, let alone Croatia. So, yeah.
What does he bring to that Croatian side then? And does he play, because we've often found that when speaking to the reps, but also just in general, players sometimes play in different positions for their club than they do for their country. Does he play in the same kind of role for Croatia? And what does he bring to that Croatian side that you guys would really struggle if he wasn't there?
Well, actually, at the beginning of his career in Dinamo Zagreb, he was mostly deployed as a number 10. And then slowly, with the years, he was moving deeper and deeper.
Moves back.
Yes, he was going back because, he was not. He's not a number 10. Actually, he's not explosive enough. But I guess coaches saw his intelligence and his pitch vision, or whatever we can call it, and he started moving towards the position 6. But for Croatia, he's mostly been deployed in advanced areas. I would say he's not a classical number 6, because we need his creativity and we need his leadership, and playing that deep does not bode well for our chances. So I expect him to play in a number 8, let's say, something like. Yeah, he's definitely gonna be played different. He's gonna be played differently than in Real Madrid.
Okay, and so who else is important to that Croatian side then for you guys?
I think after the World Cup in Russia, we had a couple of new players introduced in the side, and one of them is definitely Nikola Vlasic from CSKA Moscow, and I think the skill set he has is like brilliant. He finds these pockets of space in between the lines. He's a really good, I don't know how to say it. I mean, in a basketball, you say he's a good ball handler. Like, he's really good on the ball, and nice dribbler, nice shot from distance as well. And I really think that after Modric, he's going to be our second most important player.
Where does he play?
He's fans of FPL maybe know him because he played in Everton for a short period of time. It was like 3 or 4 years ago, but he was transferred from Croatia to Everton, and it was too big of a leap in the career. So he struggled to match the physicality of the league because he was too young. But then he was loaned out to Moscow, to CSKA, and they bought off his contract, and he's playing really well. I think he needs a transfer now to a stronger league, but I think he's a baller. And
is he a striker or a midfielder? Or?
He's playing as a number 10, let's say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else that you think is important to that side?
Well, one player could be will be important, and he's also one of the new players. I would say it's Bruno Petkovic, because he also brings something new to the team, and his hold-up play, his delivery, his presence, he's really, really good. And he's been injured. He had some kind of shoulder ligament injury, and I think it's kind of delicate, and it was not treated properly. So hopefully he will not have any nasty falls, but otherwise he might be rolled out for the rest of the Euros. So
I seem to remember, and correct me if I'm wrong, but Perisic had quite a good World Cup for you guys. Is he in the squad?
Yes, he's in the squad, and he will be played in the starting lineup. But it's been 3 years since World Cup in Russia, and he's now already 32, 33. He's aging, and it's not the same anymore. I mean, I really hope that he's gonna show his best performance on Euro, but his performances in the qualifying and also last 6 months or last year have been subpar.
Okay, well, let's have a look at your group then for the Euros, and you obviously got England in the groups. What's your thoughts on the group? How do you think you'll do?
Well, I think we will progress to the knockout stage, but definitely it's going to be tricky. I mean, playing against England and Scotland basically away is not going to be an easy task. And I think we don't have a single win against Scotland, which is extraordinary.
Scotland are unbeaten against Croatia.
I think, I'm not sure. I'm not entirely sure, but I think I ran into I ran into something like that like a month ago. I mean, Scotland is a kind of team that always sits back against us, and we don't like that. And they work hard. They're I guess solid at set pieces, and we are not. And I don't know. Czech Republic is always tricky, but I think 5 years ago when we played them, we did pretty well, and we were in control, and we were leading 2-0, and then our hooligans were throwing flares, and play was suspended for a couple of minutes, and that killed the momentum, and we conceded 2 goals and drew to them, which was like really a strange game. But yeah, I'm hopeful of a progress. I mean, against England, I think it's an awkward matchup for us, even more than before. But I think we like these kind of setups. Like, we are the underdog, people are underestimating us, and I think we will find the motivation to give you a game. I'm not gonna say we're gonna win or anything, but we'll see. We'll see. It's gonna be very interesting.
What would you say the strengths and weaknesses of this Croatian side are then? Are you good in attack or defense, or where's do England and other nations need to worry about with Croatia?
Well, I think we have one of the best abilities in the international football to elevate our level of football on the big competitions compared to the qualifying, compared to the period before the big tournament. And I really think that's one of our strengths, because I think that it will be tough to read anything from the friendly matches, because it's not going to be the same. It's like we have an extra engine to turn on when the tournament starts, and I think that's definitely one of our strengths. Our midfield, I think, definitely is one of the strengths. Modric and Brozovic, I think, are really good, really solid. And I think weaknesses are definitely we're very vulnerable at set pieces.
Because I seem to remember when you guys concede, and I might be mistaking it, but when you guys concede, you concede quite a few.
Yeah.
Is it the head goes and that's it?
Yeah.
So, if you're against a strong side and you go 1-0 down early, it could easily end up 4-1.
But also in the World Cup in Russia, we were down against Denmark, we were down against Russia, we were down against England, and we recovered and we won in the end.
Yeah.
I think in the tournament it's a different story. against England, I think we were supposed to be down at least 2-0. I mean, that Kane double chance was just incredible how he missed it. And after the halftime, it was like an entirely different team on the pitch, and from that point on, we dominated the game.
Yeah, that game, I think it was. It showed exactly like the heart of the Croatian players. They came out in the second half. England did dominate in the first half, but and they could only make 2 or 3 good chances, and they scored from a set piece. But then in the second half, Croatia should have won like 4 or 5-1. Like the amount of good chances they created, they were brilliant. And they hit the posts, and I think they hit the bar as well?
Hit the post, I think. Yeah. Yeah, it was amazing. I mean, I think in the end, the stat line I was amazed by was like shots on target. It was like 7 or 8 for Croatia and 2 or 3 for England, which yeah, it's really extraordinary. And yeah.
Okay. Sorry, go on.
Yeah. So yeah, we're very vulnerable at set pieces, I think. I think that's one of our biggest weaknesses, and also the defensive transition and the way that our game has changed, and we don't have this strong defensive setup in the forward line as we had in Russia, and that's something that could bring us a lot of problems.
All right. Before we move on to fantasy options and talking a bit about fantasy, Rob, have you got any questions?
I know we've obviously mentioned Modric and like his role within the side. Would you say that he's deployed maybe more as a sort of a holding midfielder now, rather than getting forward, and getting involved in the attacks? And whether does that still make him a good asset on a fantasy point of view, especially at his price tag?
I think he's overpriced in fantasy, definitely. I mean, it's a UEFA game, so it also includes ball recoveries potential, which definitely is one of his strengths.
It isn't. Just a quick note on that. It isn't actually. There's no points for ball recoveries in this.
No.
No.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I thought it was same as in UCL.
Yeah, I had to check yesterday because someone asked us whether we why are we not talking about the likes of Kante and play these holding midfielders who score really well in the Champions League games, and that's that's why, because there's no, and so it makes any holding midfielders, it makes a lot of them sort of really obsolete in the game. And
the only difference basically to FPL is there's no bonus, and you get an extra point for players that who score outside of the box.
Yeah,
that's it. Right, so let's talk about some fantasy options then for Croatia. So out of the squad, I guess that there's 2 main questions that we ask every rep, because as an FPL fan, I'm sure that we always look for a bargain. So the first question is, are there any players when you look at this squad that appear to be out of position? So any players listed as a defender that play in midfield or vice versa?
Well, no, not really. I think there's one player that's been listed out of position, but in a wrong direction, I would say, and it's Ante Rebic, because he mostly plays as a right wing, and he's listed as a forward, so that kind of decreases his appeal fantasy-wise, even though he's priced fairly, I would say, at 7 million. The rest, I think, have been classified accordingly. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, and I guess the second question is: are there any players here that you look at and you think the price that they've been given is way off, and it's either way too high or way too low?
I think it's way too high for Modric and Perisic.
Okay.
Because, I mean, Modric, he is our leader, and he will be very important, and he will undoubtedly have some attacking returns, but 8.5, I think it's too much. I think, yeah, you have like Ferran Torres, that's 8 or 8.5 as well. So I think that they cannot compare when we talk about fantasy appeal. Perisic, if he was in a better form and if he was playing better, I would say maybe, but 8.5 still, it's too much.
Okay, and anyone from a value point of view that you think is really good value that you think is too low?
Well, there's one player that might be a nice, like, cheeky differential, and that's Borna Barisic as a left back. He's 4.5, and if we go far in the tournament, I think he will be really, really a nice option and nice enabler. Because, yeah, I mean, as a fullback, obviously he has a higher likelihood of the attacking return than the center halves, especially because we don't score many goals from corner kicks or from set pieces in general. And yeah,
is he a starter for you guys?
Yes, he's a starter, and he plays for Rangers, and he was, even in the absence of James Tavernier, he was taking penalties for Rangers. So he might come nice if we have some penalty shootouts again.
Those people listening that played Fantasy Scotland this year, will remember. He was in my team from game week 1 all the way through. I think he was he the second top scoring player after Tavernier? Probably.
I didn't play Fantasy Scotland, so I don't know.
Yeah, between those two, they both, like, if we think TAA in Liverpool's title-winning season, Barisic beat his points total, and Tavernier like doubled his points total. It was just crazy between the two of them because they had all the set pieces, penalties, and then Rangers won the league, so many clean sheets. But yeah, it's interesting that he's 4.5. So he's definitely he's locked in at left back then.
Yeah, he's locked in because, I mean, we always had an issue with the left back position up until 2 or 3 years ago, and then suddenly we got him and also Domagoj Bradarić from Lille. I don't know if you watched the under-21 game against Croatia, the one that scored a banger in top pin, like in the 90th minute, and kicked out England from under-21. And he plays for Lille, and he's a nice, promising player. But he will not start. I mean, I think Barisic has the trust of the coach. And also we have one that was very popular in fantasy Bundesliga, but will not be on the list, and that's Borna Sosa. I don't know if you remember him from Stuttgart.
I do remember Sosa,
yeah. Yeah. He had a controversy because he wanted to change his sports citizenship 3 weeks ago to represent Germany, but in the end FIFA said no, and now
Croatia,
the question is when. I don't know if I think he resolved the conflict with the coach, and it was fine, but he brought himself in a awkward position. I think Barisic in the defense is a solid pick, but yeah.
All right, so I guess outside of him, if we're looking for assets within Croatia, what players should we be looking for? Because every side has a few players that you should be picking from. For Croatia, who are they?
I think the standout pick is Nikola Vlasic, 6.5. I mean, he could be a bargain pick, especially if we go far in the tournament. Mislav Oršić also has a nice price, but I think he's not nailed on. and I think he's not. It's too risky to select him to the team because normally it's Perishic's spot, and even though I think that it might be smarter for Dalic to start Oršić instead of Perisic in the game against England, I think he will not do it. I think Perisic is nailed on.
So
experience, maybe.
Vlasic is Vlasic? Where does he play in that Croatian side then?
He's number 10, number 10 attacking midfielder, and he has a nice shot from distance. He creates chances. He even takes an odd free kick sometimes in his club. So yeah, I think he could be a really good option. He had a slight niggle in the knee a month ago, and I think it's been taken care of now. But just keep an eye on that if you're gonna select him to the team.
Okay.
But yeah,
the
rest. I mean, okay, we have Modric and Brozovic that are basically midfielders, and they're not that attacking. I mean, Kovacic will not be nailed on. Badel, Pašalić, no way. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Maybe if you're brave, if you want to be brave, Bruno Petkovic, because he's really cheap, 6 million. And yeah,
is he going to be starting?
He should have the starting spot in our lineup, because it was like that for the most of the qualifying campaign. And I think if he's fit, he will be the one to start.
Because it looks like he's got quite a good record, 6 goals in 15 starts.
Yes, but he's more like a Benzema or Giroud type of player, you know, hold up play, these short passes. He's not that aggressive and vertical when it comes to finishing. Like, in club he doesn't score that many goals, but somehow in Croatia, I think he has a really good link up with Vlasic, and that helps him a lot. So yeah, he might be an undercover pick, let's say.
And who starts in goal for you guys?
It's Dominique Livakovic. He's a goalkeeper of Dinamo Zagreb, and he's definitely gonna be transferred to a better league after the Euro, and he's a really good goalkeeper. But for 5 million, I think there are better options elsewhere, or even it's better to spend maybe 0.5 more on the likes of De Gea, Donnarumma. Yeah, he's gonna have a lot of saves probably, because lately I think we've been conceding far more shots on target than before, and he's a really good goalkeeper, so he will get a lot of saves. But I think in general I would look elsewhere.
And with regards to set pieces and penalties, who takes them for you guys?
Our designated penalty taker, I would say, is Modric. So he's gonna take them, even though I'm not sure why. I mean, it's just something that happened like 13 years ago when we played Austria in the Euros. He took the penalty in the 4th minute, I think, early on in the game, and then after that he took every single penalty. I'm not sure why, because actually Rakitic was a far better penalty taker, because he took them for Sevilla before he was transferred to Barcelona. Yeah, I remember his penalty against Denmark when Schmeichel caught the ball basically, and then we had to go to the penalty shootout, and then he almost missed that one as well. So yeah,
and free kicks and corners.
Free kicks, it's tough to say. We don't have a designated free kick taker, and the same goes for corner kicks. I think Modric will take a lot of them from right-sided, probably. Left-sided, I think it could also be sometimes Barisic, but also most of them are going to be taken by Modric. Yeah. The free kicks are a lottery, basically. I think Oršić is a really good free kick taker, but as I said, he's not nailed on. So when he's on the pitch, he might be taking them.
Okay, Rob, have you got any questions?
No, not really. Like we've covered like Modric moving back into this sort of deeper role, and his value at 8.5 probably not being great. I think Perisic is. I think it's more of a wait and see, because if he performs badly against England, that could be it for his tournament. Maybe. Like, do you think if he played really badly, would he maybe get dropped for the games against Czech Republic and Scotland?
I'm not sure. I think Dalic is very loyal to the players, especially after Russia, and I think Perisic is fairly safe. I mean, he has a decent competition in Orsic, but I think if he starts Perisic and he does bad, it's fine. But if he starts Orsic as a backup player and then he's not doing well, then he gets a backlash from the media. So I mean, he's a fairly safe manager, I would say, but also loyal to the players, and I think Perisic is safe, but I still took very pricey.
Okay, I guess before we end, are you picking anyone for Croatia? And if you are, who are you picking?
Well, currently I don't have anyone because I'm building a strategy to select players for match day 1 and 3, and then to use limitless in match day 2.
Okay.
Because there are more teams that have an appealing fixtures in 1 and 3 than the other way around. So we'll see. I mean, maybe in the limitless squad I will pick someone. I think in general Barisic and Vlasic are the best options because of the price. And I would have said Modric if he was like 7 million maybe, but 8.5 is no way. So yeah.
Okay, and before we go then, is there anything that you'd like to tell our listeners about the Croatian side, or about the fantasy options that you think you haven't covered so far?
Well, yeah, I mean, just I would say be careful who you're picking, and I think altogether we have a nice squad, and I think we have a decent chance to go far. But individually, I would say it's tough to predict who is going to be the standout player. In this moment, I think it's going to be Vlasic, and I think he's the one you should be targeting. But yeah, also keep an eye on maybe if Gvardiol is starting, so if he somehow surfaces in the starting lineup, I think he could be a decent option because he's 4.5. Also, a center half, he's decent. He offers some kind of aerial threat. And yeah, I think I'm looking forward to the Euros. I think we have a good chance to go far, and yeah.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Hrvoje. We really, both of us, appreciate it, and I'm sure all our listeners do too. Rob, is there anything else?
No. Yeah, we'll see you in. I mean, we're here on the 31st of May, so yeah, we'll see you in about 13 days for the first game. And
yeah, of course.
Yeah, I am looking forward to. I think it's our chance. I know we've played each other probably like 3 or 4 times since that World Cup semi-final.
We played twice. We played each other twice in the Nations League.
The Nations League.
Think. Yeah,
it'll be nice to meet you in a major tournament again, and hopefully get that little bit more revenge for that World Cup semi-final, because it still hurts.
Well, after we kicked you out of Euro 2008, you got your revenge in the next qualifying campaign when you demolished us. Those were the games like 3-0 Walcott and also the one on Wembley when you beat us 5-1 or something like that. And yeah, so hopefully we're not gonna get smashed now after what happened in Russia.
We shall see. We shall see.
Thank you so much to the listeners. Thanks for tuning in. Please like and subscribe and look out for our next installment. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.